Hello there, Chef D Malfi here, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm excited to be back for another day because it's Thursday and we're closer to the weekend, and it's been a really long week. It's been a really long weekend, and it's been a really long week for personal reasons as well as reasons for the world. I'm grieving today for Breonna Taylor. I'm grieving today for Breonna Taylor's family. I'm grieving today for brown and black people in the United States and all over the world. And I'm feeling it. I'm going to infuse love into my food today because that's where I'm at. If you have questions, comments about anything I'm saying related to plant-based cooking, plant-based living, compassionate thinking, being in this world, please share with me. I really want to hear from you guys. I want to hear if you're feeling sort of similar to how I'm feeling. And if you aren't, that's okay too. I want to hear from you. Today, we're going to make a delicious snack. This is super healthy and it's very craveable. We're going to be making salt and vinegar squash chips today. I always include some sort of a snack recipe on Thursdays. And on Thursdays, oftentimes we do dips and chips and things like that because that happens to be my favorite snack. So I thought it would be fun to use some of the last of the summer squash. Today, I'm going to use this beautiful summer squash to make these salt and pepper chips. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the squash and I'm going to slice it on a mandolin, and then I'm going to make a delicious vinegar mixture. And we're actually going to bathe the squash in this vinegar mixture. And let's talk as we're doing it. Let's actually talk about how we're all feeling. What's going on? What the heck is going on in our world today, right? Jeez. My goodness. All right, so I have a little squash here. I can talk and cook. Yes, I can do both. I'm going to use my OXO like mandolin. This is a mini mandolin, but you can use a full-size Japanese mandolin if you have one. They just tend to be more dangerous. I like this because it's actually kid-proof, and it's easier for me just in case I slip it up and make a mistake. So I'm going to take my mandolin right on my cutting board. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back, and thanks for all the cool stars that you gave us yesterday. I'm going to take my mandolin and I'm going to take my squash and literally going to run it over the blade. That's it. There's nothing else. That's why I'm saying literally there's nothing else. It's that simple. No weird gadgets or tricks here. You're literally just using the weight and pressure of the squash in your palm, and you're making these beautiful chipped pieces, small, thin, about 1/16 of an inch. That's how thin we want them. Anywhere between 1/16 and 1/8 are fine. Make sure that they're the whole chips. So if any of these little pieces that are actually not whole pieces, they're not going to sit on your surface, your dehydrating sheets very well. So you really need them to be the full circles. Also, when they're like not the full circle, you'll see that some of the pieces, like maybe one half is thick and the other half is kind of thin to the point where it's, I'll show you an example. That's thin. This is thin and this is thick. This part is actually just going to sit and get super duper burnt. And this part is never going to actually get to the same consistency as this part. So the goal is we want everything to be the same thickness all the way around. See that? Pretty simple. That on the left is a no-go. This is a good go. So that's basically it. I'm going to just stop here because I don't need to slice that many. I had to make these ahead of time just to kind of show you. All right, now I'm going to make that vinegar mixture. This is what we're going to bathe our chips in. Right into this, I'm going to add a little bit of oil. Now, if you're whole food plant-based, you can actually replace this with a little filtered water or a little vegetable broth. But I'm going to use extra virgin olive oil today, or you could use avocado oil. The choice is yours. Or like I said, broth if you are oil-free. Kudos for you if you are oil-free. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons, 1 and 2. And then that's it. It's like our fat, right? It's gonna that's what's gonna sort of stick to the squash. Now for our vinegar, for the salt and vinegar, we need apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna use this today. This is organic. This has the mother intact. That's that floating organism that kind of looks a little creepy on the bottom of the bottle. That's what's antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial. It's really, really good for our gut belly. So keep that intact and give this apple cider vinegar a nice shake before you use it. And then I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons. Measure it out too. If you're feeling like you'll pour in too much, just give it a measure with a little tablespoon. And now I'm going to add some salt. We're just going to use a pinch of sea salt today, but you can use any kind of salt that you want. Kosher salt, smoked salt, salt that has different flavorings like citrus salt or herb salt, anything. It doesn't matter. I just want my salt and pepper chips totally plain and simple. So I'm going to use regular sea salt, and that is it. Seriously. That's it. This could also be the start of a really great salad dressing, but today we're going to use it for our chips. Take your little pieces of squash and you want to throw them in, but don't just throw them all in at once, because what will happen is you'll get a big clump of squash and one of the sides of the squash pieces won't actually get to be bathed in it. So the goal here is letting them all take a dip in the bath or the pool, the vinegar pool, and soak on both sides. Seems like kind of like a simple thing, right? Most people would probably just throw these right in though, and then they wouldn't get on both the bath, the liquid on both sides. And that's what's going to make this super great. You don't even need to let these sit. Or at this point, you can pull them off, and then you can actually put them on a lined baking sheet, just like this. Now, this has a silt pad. This is the BPA, FDA approved, BPA free and FDA approved cooking or baking pad. These are on my Amazon shop, Chef Danielle Malfitano Amazon page. If you want to purchase any of the things that you see here, you can do that. Or if you just want to know what I recommend, just go to that page and just check it out. It's all my cooking and kitchen equipment, and a little fashion, and a little jewelry, and some supplements, and some ingredients. Lots of cool stuff. Check it out. So what I did is, you can see I actually just really, I line these up in lines. I let there be enough air or space between, nothing is touching, and these have already dehydrated. So these go right into the oven. This is already done, but these, let's pretend they're not, go right into the oven, into your dehydrator. It takes about 12 hours or so, and I have some already that are still in here baking up. You can see these are about halfway. Danny, can we do the overhead cam? All right, so these are about halfway. These are much bigger. You can do them on wire racks like this. Hi, Sita. Danny, Sita's saying hi to you. And hi, Sita. These are done. 12 hours on a dehydrator function. And if you don't have a dehydrator function on your oven, let's say it's your home oven inside of your kitchen, most don't have a dehydrator function. If they're just like an old school oven like I have, that's okay. Just get it to the lowest temperature you possibly can get it to. Usually the lowest temperature in any oven is about 105 or 110 degrees, and that's what you want. So preheat it to that low, keep the oven door shut, and then once these are actually lined up on the baking sheet, they've taken a dip in the vinegar bath, they're lined up, there's air around each piece, nothing is overlapping, they're ready to go in, then open up the oven door and very quickly place the vinegar chip baking sheet in the oven and let it sit for 12 hours. And when it's finished, you should have these beautiful vinegar chips that will kind of just peel right off. And I'll plate them up right now. How are you guys feeling about all of this madness? I mean, I know we get a lot of people that are viewing that are not from the United States, but what are your thoughts on the BLM movement? What are your thoughts on Breonna Taylor? I'm genuinely curious, people. I'm not trying to make it political to divide us. I'm actually genuinely curious, and here's why. I feel like since I've gone plant-based, I've become more of a compassionate person in general. And I know I'm not alone when I say this. I've heard other people that have decided to become vegan or go plant-based, or even just like try to eat more plant-forward meals in their weekly meals. They sort of start to feel different, not just in their body and in their health, but like they start to see the world differently. They start to relate to their brethren, their kin, their neighbors, their communities different. I mean, are you feeling the same way? I'm so curious to know if you are, and what are your thoughts on this whole experience that we're living through, this sort of civil unrest, this racial and civil unrest. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I feel like there's nothing more important right now than doing whatever we can do to love one another, right? Like, I know that sounds like silly and too simplified, but it's so true. I'm really dealing with a lot of feeling like we're so divided, even when in my own community, within my own family, within my own group of friends. It's really interesting to see sort of how we're siphoning off and siloing off into our own corners, and that can't be the answer, right? That just can't be the answer. So I'm just bringing this in with total curiosity and love today. I really want to hear from you. Danielle says it's crazy. I'm feeling the same way. All right, so you can see these vinegar chips are nice and plated. Look how cute they are, perfect. And they're just kind of like on one side of the plate. Now, let me make a little quick dip. This is totally optional. I'm going to take my delicious yogurt. Now, this is Greek yogurt, you guys. This is homemade. I've been making this once a week. You guys, this recipe and the salt and vinegar chips and the yogurt is right from my plant-based made easy September cookbook. I don't want you to see the back because it got a little wet. This is a downloadable cookbook, but I print it out and I actually have a printed copy in front of me every day. And we're actually making the salt and vinegar squash chips right here. This is week 3 and this is meal number 4, or Thursday's meal or snack, I should say. And you'll see that one of the categories of food that I offer within my cookbook, not just breakfast, lunch, dinner, sweets, and snacks, but the 6th category that I added were staple recipes, because I kept getting questions from people that, oh, I'm vegetarian, or I'm a meat eater and I can't fathom going vegan or plant-based because I just can't give up dairy products. So, or I can't give up bread, and it's really hard to find plant-based or vegan bread. So what I did is I created a staple categories. These are 4 recipes, 1 staple recipe at the end of every week. And one of these happens to be the Greek yogurt. You will not believe how easy and delicious this Greek yogurt is. This one in particular is made with soaked cashews, and then they're soaked for 24 hours, and then they're drained and blended in a food processor with a little filtered water and a little psyllium husks, which are really great natural. It's really a supplement, but you can eat it, and it's great because it is it's really high in fiber. That's the predominant macronutrient within psyllium husk. And it's also a natural plant-based or vegan gelling substitute. So it's perfect for yogurt. And you make this mixture, you put it in a glass mason jar. You guys, I cooked it right in here and I've stored it right in here. And then you put this glass mason jar with the mixture, the yogurt mixture, before it's fermented in your 110 degree oven, and that creates a fermentation state, and you let it sit for 12 hours. And when you come back, you should see yogurt that's literally kind of grown. It's sort of like alive. It's very much alive because of the active cultures within the elements, the base, the yogurt base that we made. And I'm going to make a yogurt dip for our chips today. I'll make a yogurt dip just a little tiny bit here. And so I'm going to take some of this Greek yogurt. This is so good. And it doesn't taste like cashews. It doesn't taste strange at all. It tastes like regular yogurt. I'm telling you, it even tastes like cow's milk yogurt. On my honor, on my word, they say the Girl Scout honor. I swear it tastes just like cow's milk Greek yogurt. You cannot tell the difference. Try it for yourself if you don't believe me. Danny always says, don't say that, bae. Don't say that. Don't say try it for yourself. No, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Try it for yourself. If you don't believe me, if you're a skeptic, that's okay. You be a skeptic, but you make this yogurt and then you get back to me. You can thank me later. All right, take your yogurt. I want just a couple tablespoons really, and then any dried or fresh herbs that you like. I thought it might be nice to actually show you the difference between dried and fresh herbs. So here are my fresh herbs, and actually keep them in a mason jar filled with water. And look at how beautiful these are, right? I keep all fresh cut, soft herbs like cilantro and parsley and basil in water. And this keeps them for a very long time. Now, a question that came up a couple weeks ago, a couple people asked, my herbs are drying on the edges, a couple people said. So I said, here's a great recommendation. Do exactly this. Get a glass container or mason jar, fill it with water, and then put your herbs in, and then take a bag, just a Ziploc bag. And this is how we would store herbs in a restaurant. This is what we used to do in any restaurant that I've ever worked at, if we want our herbs to stay super fresh. And just hold your herbs like this with a bag over them. And this is going to create just like enough protection from the leaves on top and then enough hydration on the stems on the bottom for this to actually stay super vibrant, fresh, green, really, really, really great for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks sometimes. So this is the way to hold them. Now you can use fresh herbs in your yogurt dip, but word of the wise, fresh herbs actually don't taste a lot like anything in like a yogurt dip without sitting for a long time. So with fresh herbs, it's the longer it sits, the better it gets. However, if we want a quick dip, I'm going to go and opt in for dried herbs. Today, I'm going to use dried or freeze-dried chives. I'll show you. Just a little freeze-dried chives here. These are from Thrive Market. You can see these are fresh and vibrant. They're still green. They're really, really great. I'm just going to use a little bit, like less than a tablespoon. And then I thought I want to blend 2 different herbs. I also want to use my Nanu Luciano Malfitano's dried homemade oregano. Now, my Nanu Luciano died a couple of years ago, and he was he was one of my favorite people in the whole entire world. And I'm going to use his oregano because my Nanu, he was a very spiritual man. He was very quiet about his spirituality. He didn't talk about it a lot, but he infused love in anything he did. I truly mean this. And he used to make homegrown oregano. He would grow his oregano and then dry just sheets, baking sheets all over the garage of dried oregano. He would do this with olives as well. He would cure his own olives. He was a wonderful man. And I actually keep a little of his dried oregano on the bottom of this glass container. And then I fill it with new oregano every single time. So I have a little bit of Nanu's oregano in every single bit. And that's it. I'm just going to use a little bit of Nanu's oregano and a little bit of the chive. I think I need a little bit more of this oregano. It ends up being about anywhere between 1 and 2 tablespoons. And again, this is going to get better as it sits, of course, but with dried herbs, they're super potent and flavorful kind of immediately. And as soon as they hit something like a liquid mixture, they sort of rehydrate. And so they're going to do this in the yogurt, but they're going to absorb the yogurt in the process. And then maybe just a couple pinches of sea salt. Again, your favorite salt substitute if you are salt-free, which is A-okay. And then a little crack of black pepper. Yum, this looks great. You could use anything, garlic powder, onion powder, but remember your chips actually have a lot of flavor. So I'm just going to use a little cup here and I'm just going to fill it with my dip. This looks great. And that's it, you guys. This is the salt and vinegar squash chips with a little Greek yogurt and herb dip. This looks really, really yummy. Absolutely great. I'm going to try this chip with my dip. So good. Didn't get as crispy as I wanted. Definitely didn't get as crispy as I wanted. And I think it may be because honestly, you really need the dehydrator sheets and I can't find them for the right size for my toaster oven. So I've been looking and I've been experimenting. Danny, have I been experimenting or what?
Yeah.
I've been experimenting like every single week about how I can dehydrate well with the conditions that I have with my toaster oven. But hey, they're still delicious nonetheless. Try this recipe. I bet they're going to be perfect in your oven. In fact, I know that they will be because you probably have everything that you need. And I know that's true in life. We always have everything we need. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Thanks for letting me share how I'm feeling. Thanks for being a part of this community. If you aren't already, join our free Plant-Based Made Easy Facebook group. It's a really great group of people. They're all over the world. It's really fascinating, too, to get in contact and communication with people that are just like you. Maybe they're curious about going plant-based. Maybe they've been vegan for 50 years already. Or maybe they're not vegan or plant-based, and they're just here to get more plant-forward recipes. We're all in this together. We're all wanting to be healthier, right? So commit to that. What? Oh, we had a phone call earlier because we're setting up our Google Analytics, and we had someone from Google that was helping us from Manila, and he said to us after an hour phone call of setting us up, he said, "Chef, can you help me? I feel like I've gained a little weight during this moment. You know, here in the Philippines, we've certainly been affected by COVID, and I've noticed I've gained a little weight, and I just feel like I want to be healthier," he said. "And I don't know how to do that. I don't know what I should do to be healthier. Do you have any suggestions?" And I said, "Of course I do, JR. Of course I do. First of all, you're exactly where you need to be. You've already won. And the second thing is, if you want to be healthier, know that that's how we all feel. And all you need to do is commit to your health." I asked him to commit to making 2 to 3 plant-based meals a week, and to see if he could do that. So I've invited him to come and join us here on Plant-Based Made Easy. Maybe we'll see him pop in at some point. But I would give that advice to anyone. As I'm giving him that advice, I'm saying it to myself. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing this right, but I know that I'm putting out some really cool content, and I feel really, really grateful for this community. So thank you so much for letting me share. Thank you for receiving my content, and I'm so glad that it's of value to you and your family in your home or your space. And I hope that you come back for more. Tomorrow is our final day of week 3. We are going to be making sesame macadamia nut cookies. Come back for this because we're going to be using the mighty tahini, the sesame seed paste that I talk about a lot. One of my favorite plant-powered protein garnishes, condiments, dessert sauces. Tomorrow we're going to be actually using it to make a delicious cookie dough, and then we'll bake these cookies yummy macadamia nut and tahini cookies. You'll see. Come back for it. And if I don't get to see you tomorrow, I'm always back around. Next week is going to be week 4. If you haven't done so already, you can also purchase our cookbook. If you want any of the recipes that I'm referring to, it's right here. Thanks all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Happy eating. Peace.